Peace, peace. I am Kofi Piesie. I am a writer, an author, a publisher, a content creator, amongst other things.
What up? What up? What up? It's your man Sean P coming in live. This ain't the Sean P Experience, but I am Sean P, the host of the Sean P Experience, author, public speaker, motivator, educator. Yeah, man. We got something special for y'all today, but this is different. This is way, way different, man. You probably seen the videos coming out the past couple of days of different people that Kofi interviewed over our weekend. But this is our special way to interview each other. This is called the face off, right? We had this idea a few weeks ago. It had the face off. It's supposed to be in person live, but life be life, right? So we're doing it right now. Here, the way our Griots Podcast always go. See Kofi, you see myself. Both of us are hosts, and we're going to be interviewing each other in a back and forth fashion. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, something different. Let's rock, big brother.
All right, all right. So I started off, man. If
Okay.
you want me to start it off,
Okay.
all right. So my first question for you is, my brother, is uh, what was your honest experience working with me on this publication? This,
Oh,
for
my
people that don't know
God.
what this publication is, we're talking about
Yeah.
the Modern Day Griot and Griottes, the new generation book.
Yeah. So it's funny you asked that question. I have a kind of, and we always doing this, which answers the question. I have a question, something like similar on my questions, right? But
Mhm.
anyway, my experience with you, man, it's been wonderful, bro. It was amazing. It was wonderful. And I had no plan on writing a book this year. When I look at January 23 and what I had planned in my mind for the year, writing a book was not on the list at all whatsoever. When you came with this idea for the book, I was like, yeah, let's rock. But as the process started going, and then the outline came, and then us going back and forth, writing our chapters in, then adding in Dr. Waden and the squad, and then the way that you're so business savvy, business minded, and you and I every night chopping it up, talking about it, it gave me so much more energy. Like I never had writer's block writing this book. I never had a moment where I felt like, man, I don't feel like doing this. Like every night. And the good part about it, it was organic motivation. Like it wasn't like you telling me, man, Sean, tonight write this, this, and this. You would just say, man, tonight I'm gonna go to the job, I'm gonna get off, I'm gonna write this, this, and this, I'm gonna read this, I'm gonna do that. And so now I'm on my side thinking to myself, in my head, like, man, he gonna do that. I'm gonna go and do this. So it's a back and forth organic motivation for each other, I would say. And I loved it, man. It was way different than whenever I did What's Your Kick and the other things I published before by myself when it was totally self-power, self-driven. That was different.
Yeah, and that question, I have been meaning to ask you because I never did ask you like your honest, uh, uh, experience, over the overall, it's out now. So the overall thing, what was your experience like? Was it rough? So I'm glad, man, it was easy, man. Like I said, and we both
Bro,
motivated each other, we both motivated each other. It was an easy process, you know what I'm saying? And I loved the experience, man. It was this whole thing is new. This whole thing that I got going on is new. So man, I this was a great experience for me,
yeah,
as
bro.
well, man, working with the book, man.
And just so the
Um,
family can know it, man, it was such a good experience. I immediately started asking about, man, we gonna do something else? Man, let's do this next. Man, let's line this up. Like
yeah,
in 2024, let's do this. Like I'm
yeah,
already projecting, 3 and 4 projects down the line, man. And
yeah.
other things outside the books as well, classes and stuff like that. So
For
yeah, the,
sure.
the experience was so good that I want more.
Oh
Right?
yeah, me too, man. I just want to keep the momentum going and just keep going, man. Especially the chemistry that we have, man. We have great chemistry. What you before we go into the next question, you said what do you compare us to who
I
now? I
always
can't
say I always say Jada Kiss and Styles
say
P, man.
Jada
Cause
Kiss and
they
style.
they rap not like verse for verse. They go inside the bars, like two
Right.
bars, two bars, two bars,
Hmm.
4 bars. Like it's like one voice almost. They be
Yeah.
they be in the same pocket. It's crazy.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
our flow is naturally from the beginning, it's been like that.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I mean, those two are my favorite artists
Me too.
as well, Jada Kiss and
I
Styles
played
P.
Style P last night.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
the Ghost Face.
Yeah.
I want to ask you as a writer, we just mentioned two MCs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is crazy. This is like two times in like the past 5 minutes we did it, and it's how the experience has been. It's like naturally. So some rappers try to explain their rap style, right? As a writer, how would you explain your writing style? Like put us inside of the mind of Kofi. You had the laptop or the blank page. How would you explain your writing style?
Man, my writing style probably would be all over the place. And what I mean by all over the place, I don't have no specific. I'll say my style would be like ODB. You know what I'm saying? He considered his style a drunken style, and I'm saying that because he's all over the place. You don't know how he's gonna come, you know. So and that's like me. I don't go into a project saying, "Hey, this is how I got it." It's just I'm all over the place, man. So I may be I may be at work or at my desk, and some things may just pop up in my mind, and I immediately go to the computer at work and type something up. You know what I'm saying? Just some thoughts. I may be in the bed. I may wake up and I got a pad. Might go down and start jot down an outline or an ideal or something that I have, or a name of a chapter. Okay, this would be dope for this chapter, for this, for such and such. Um, I'll depend on what type of information I'm dealing with. I may go and pull out a book I may have read, or it may be some information that I got. I may have to purchase a book, may have to read a book before I even touch and go on a chapter, which may take 2 months for me to even touch on the next chapter at all, because I want to get as much reading done as possible. And that one book may take me across other different things, because before I start reading a book, this is just how I do when I read a book. I don't go to just start from the beginning of the book. I go to the back of the book. And a lot of times when I go to the back of the book, I want to look at where did they get their sources from. I'm a guy that always want to know where people come to their end results, or where are they pulling their information from. So now I want to go invent some of these. So sometimes it may be too, I may possibly say I'm gonna start reading a book at this time. Okay, I'm gonna break out my book at about 3 o'clock and start reading. It may be 5 o'clock for I start reading, because I may start looking up some of these individuals. If I don't know who they is, and start, if they got articles, may start reading who these are, or reading these credentials. Who are these people that you pulling these information from? What kind of credentials you have? So I mean, it just, my style is just, my writing process is just like all over the place. And then I like my flow comes at nighttime. I'm a night owl. So my flow will come all night. So I mean, at nighttime, that's the best time. Not saying I won't get up and write in the morning. I do, because if it hits me at that in the morning time, I'm I'm up at my laptop. I'm typing. I'm doing whatever. I'm drawing my notes, because I have notes. I love taking notes. So I draw from my notes. I draw from certain source materials that I have. I even draw from myself, because a lot of these things I publish other things, blogs, articles, uh, books, lectures. So I might draw from some lectures. So like I said, my style is just all over the place. But my best time to work, where everything is flowing, is, man, late at nighttime, man, till early in the morning.
That's crazy. I'm glad I asked that question because I don't think anybody around you would ever think you would describe it as all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the people I've worked with, some amazing people, you are amongst the top of the chain when it comes to organization, timeliness, deadlines, this aspect. Like you, the Red Ranger, right? Me and Dr. Wade, the Red Power Ranger.
The
So
red
for you to
power
describe
range.
it as all over, that was a very surprising answer. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't have, just like I said, I just don't have, when I go into something, it's gonna be, even though I am, like you say, I try to be organized, but when it comes to my process, I take it however it comes. I mean, so it may be it's just gonna be all over the place. It ain't just no proper one procedure where boom boom. It's just all over the place, and it works for me. It may not work for nobody else. How I do it, I have stuff like all over the place, and when I mean all over the place, sometimes at this desk or at the other one, I got stuff all over the place. I got laptops, I got books, I got tablets, I got napkins. Where I might have jotted on a napkin been at a restaurant. Oh, okay, I got this. I jotted on the napkin. I may have my pad where I have in my back pocket while I'm at work. So I just have stuff just all over the place, but it works for me.
You know what's crazy, Kofi? This came to my mind organically. For years, probably over a decade, I've been wanting to be around like a writer's group or a writer's room.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we'll make it happen one day between our squad, where we all get together for like a couple hours, whatever it is. We all at our individual tables or whatever, our laptops, pen, whatever we write with, and we all writing. But in the midst of that, you're seeing everybody process. I'm seeing Dr. Wade, what she do, and what Matt do, what Keith do. I'm seeing it. I've never really been there with somebody that's actually doing the process.
And that's crazy that you said that, because I was thinking that the other day. I was looking at I wrote a movie script, and um I was thinking about, man, what about if I had some writers, man, where we just came up with some type of project, and we all sitting in the room, and like a think tank, and we come up with whatever
The
we gonna
writers,
come
the
up
writers,
with.
writers room, right?
Yeah, in the
Writers,
writer's room, man.
writers
I,
room.
I I think that would, because I never experienced that as well, and I would like, well, what better people to experience with these people, with this project that I had a good experience. I done wrote with my research team. Not saying that's not but this here is just something like totally different, and I'm doing something totally different. This is something refreshing, something new, and each individual that you name has inspired me in some other in some type of facet, you know what I'm saying, and kind of got me out of my comfort zone at certain particular readings that I have done in the past, or even with me writing, like even with me writing chapter 2, I tapped into something different than I normally would tap into when I started reading chapter. And that was all because it was inspired by what you wrote and inspired by what you was telling me you was going to write from the beginning. That's why I asked you twice about it when we was over the phone, and what you was going to do and how you was going to write it and how you was going to lay it out. And then actually when I actually seen it too, because we was cross sharing stuff. So, that kind of inspired me to kind of, what I'm saying, go at it a little bit different, go at my writing a little bit different, man. So I appreciate you and other.
You know what else, Kofi? We have some of the same guys that we admire scholar rise, right? And like I hear stories about at the Schaumburg Museum, right? The
Mm-hmm.
Schaumburg, New York. And they mentioned like Dr. Clark being there with this guy and that guy. Like, I'm trying to imagine in my mind what that had to be like to have those great minds in one place, and they all piggybacking off each other. They all getting resources together. They all dealing with the sister Dorothy Porter Wesley, the amazing librarian and curator. She's saying, man, you writing about this topic, you need these books. You writing about that, you need these articles. Like they coming together. Or even besides that, the Harlem Renaissance. You think about some of the
Mm-hmm.
Harlem Renaissance people
Yep.
that was around each
Yep.
other,
Yep.
even people that was in different genre. Like
Yep.
you a poet, you in jazz or whatever, you an actor like Paul Robeson or somebody, and you doing this, but we all
Come
feeding
together.
off each other. That had to be, that
And
had to
and
be
yep. And that's why I love the American Negro Society, because all of those people had their own specific thing. You had poets, you had musicians, you had scholars, you had teachers, you had medical physicians. All these people came together, and their mission was to excel the Black community, go out and teach the Black community, right? Because at that specific time, they coming out of slavery, it was illegal to read and write. So they was trying to make excellent black men and women. So whatever information they had, they went back and shared it. So they came together, and a lot of it was they wrote a lot of books and things. That's why I love that so much. You had so many different people with so many different talents who came together.
This is a very organic conversation, but it's all off script. But
Yeah.
when you think about the craft of writing, it's normally a pretty solo endeavor. Like it's normally a pretty lonely thing. Like I try to explain to people that's not writers how lonely being a writer could be. Like you said, most times we just are like, once again, my prime time to write is late at night. Talking about 2, 3, 4 in the morning, everybody sleep or everybody's just away. Very much me, my laptop, whatever's going on around me, but like nobody else is interacting in it. This is a solo game. This is like being a golfer or solo tennis. Like you can't blame somebody else for something not being right. You can't blame somebody else for it's on you. Whatever's not right on page 47, you wrote it.
Right.
Whatever in the back not right, like you made it. Like this is all your thing. That's how it normally is. So whenever we can do something together, like our future projects coming up together, I had those things written years ago, some of those things. And somebody asked me, like, why didn't I just put it out by myself? I could do it by myself, but why wouldn't I do it with y'all? Like, if I can include the squad in anything I'm doing in the future, it'll probably be a while before you see a solo, strictly Sean P project. Like, I enjoyed the squad so much. I probably wouldn't do that for a while.
Yeah, I enjoy y'all too, dog. I really do, man. I really do. I don't know if you've seen, and we'll go on to the next question at this, but in the group text that we had, how much I greatly appreciate y'all, and not only how greatly I appreciate y'all, how y'all have carved a spot in my heart, because how y'all not only influenced me, but influenced my wife. Like my wife done been around a lot of people. We especially last year and the year before last, we did some traveling and going to these different events and talking to these different people. My wife is standoffish with people, right? But for y'all, she just clicked with y'all, and now y'all have inspired her. Even though that's crazy to me, you see what I do on a day-to-day basis, but it's outside the house.
I
But
gotta say
people,
it. I gotta
yep,
say it. I gotta say it. This organic ones, we flowing, right?
yeah,
Off the script. Let me tell you, bro, my whole life. So whenever I met my wife, I be getting personal. When I met my wife, I was a fitness trainer already, doing bodybuilding, competing, everything already, right? She was already on her fitness journey already. She already had lost 100 pounds by herself, all that. The deeper she got into training, though, we were always trained together for years. But at a certain point, it was like she's better getting coaching from an outside person because we literally live together. We literally are together. If something at the gym go wrong, the energy transfer over to the house, then it's something else from the gym, or vice versa. So this outside person giving you critique, giving you instruction, giving you whatever, that's literally better for you as an athlete versus coming from me, which sounds totally contradictory, but it's true. And I've seen it 1,000 times. When I first became a coach, I never understood why a certain guy would be a great trainer and this other guy training his wife. I'm like, why wouldn't you train your own wife? And then when life finally happened, I got my own wife. It's like, oh, that's why you that's my train. Okay. So sometimes in life, it take an outside voice, even with your kids.
Yeah, it
I'm
does.
trying to be in the coach. I would have a daddy bring his son to me for coaching. Daddy said it 1,000 times. But something about Mr. Sean said this thing, your son just started doing it. Daddy on the sideline, pissed off, like, and the thing on the side, like, guess what, Daddy? Mr. Sean said to do this. He thinking the
Yeah.
whole time, like, boy, I told you that 1,000 times. But it takes an outside voice outside of the inside to finally penetrate and get through is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah. But man, what's the next question, man? What was some of the problems you ran into during your writing process or anything in general surrounding this publication?
This is impossible, bro. That's my literal next question, Kofi. This can't be. This is 3 times in like 10 minutes,
Right.
man. We're on the
We see,
same
dog.
rate.
We see.
But this is actually a perfect situation. Like people can see it in real time.
Yeah.
I don't know your questions. You don't know my questions. I didn't prompt
Mm-mm.
you last night. I don't know what you got
No.
written. I did mine last night real quick. You don't know what I wrote. And it's
Mm-hmm.
funny you just said that. That is my next question though. My hardest chapter. Hardest chapter was chapter 4, the leaders of the new school. The chapter on uh Dave Chappelle being a griot as a comedian, what that entails. Charlemagne the God as his radio personality, what that entails, and Ava DuVernay, the filmmaker, director, producer, amazing sister. That was the hardest chapter to write, only because, and this actually came up in a real conversation recently. I could have chosen 3 or 4 other people easily, but I want to always keep in mind my audience I'm engaging with. Who do I know for a fact you know? If you're a teenage kid, a young adult, or whatever, if I name some of these other names, you might not even know them if you're not in those pockets of conversation and thought.
Mm-hmm.
If you like Breakfast Club or not, because I don't, if you like it or not, you probably can't help but seeing Breakfast Club on your timeline somewhere. I can't avoid a clip or something somewhere. Like they're so prominent. So when I mention him as an example, your mind know what that is. I mentioned Dave Chappelle. I could have named 1,000 other comedians that I love way more than Dave Chappelle. I love Dave Chappelle for a reason outside of comedy itself. He's a brilliant man, but I knew it would be a very unlikely angle to take on being a griot, and it's piggybacking off of your chapter you laid before, laying down all the attributes of a griot, all the roles of a griot. The comedy part was sometimes used to educate,
Mm-hmm.
and I even educate that way. I have a lot of jokes in my lessons I give. That's one of the tools that I naturally use is comedy, right? So I wanted Dave Chappelle, and then Ava DuVernay. She's done so much in the world of movies, series, film, Netflix. I mean, she all kind of awards. When I read her bio, I couldn't even fit it all in a chapter. How many things she's achieved, man? So I wanted to definitely highlight and have a griot in the book, right? A
Mm-hmm.
sister. So
Yes.
yeah, chapter 4 was the hardest chapter for me to write out of all the chapters.
And you nailed it quite well too. I honestly said I remember you kind of going back and forth, I'm about that how you was gonna do it. I know you had a couple of different scenarios, and then when you kind of honed it down to who you were, so so you nailed it. And I was interested because when you told me who you was gonna pick, I was trying to wonder how you was gonna deliver it, how you was gonna, how you was gonna lay it out in the chapter, man, and you did an excellent job, man, with doing that, because I know firsthand how you was kind of going back and forth before you
Man.
even wrote the chapter. So
So you mentioned earlier the drunken style ODB, the drunken
yeah.
master, right? Being all
Mhm.
over the place is my point.
Yeah.
Whenever I have written any project, I have never written in sequential order. It's never
Yeah.
happened.
Uh-oh.
When I did What's Your Kick, it's 10 chapters. I wrote chapter 1 last. I always
Mm.
tell that story. People like, how? When I look at my outline every day to go and write, that chapter came to me last. I literally write like this for those that's listening. I sit down for a writing session. Okay, I'm gonna do 2 hours of writing. Look at my table of contents today. Oh, chapter 6 about discipline. I got something to say about that. Chapter 6. The next day, sitting down looking at my table of contents. Oh, chapter 9 about this. I'm feeling that today. So really, how I'm feeling, the table of contents is dictating what I'm doing today. Chapter
Okay.
1 just came last. So in this book, the Modern Day Griot, I sit down for a writing session then and give a night at work. Man, this right here, I'm feeling this tonight. All the storytelling, this part, that part. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I did Keith's part early in the process, man. So yeah, that last chapter, chapter 4, I had did everything else as far as my responsibilities besides chapter. It was like, okay, now it's time for us, like this down to the wire. It's time for chapter 4. So I had no choice at that point.
Okay. I don't think I don't know. I'm just I never wrote like that, man. I always like start off with a, like you said, an outline.
Mhm.
A lot of times I have an idea for a book or a concept for a book. May start off with the title, and then I'll start doing my outline. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Chapter 1, this. Chapter 2, this, and then I will go write
So
chapter 1 first, and then I'll get complete chapter 1, then go to chapter
this is
2.
good.
So, mm-hmm,
Once again, this is total freestyle. No
mm-hmm,
prompting, no planning, no nothing, right?
yep,
So I used this composition book to write my questions in last night. I was writing
mm-hmm,
some poems, and then the questions came last night, and I wrote the questions in this. This is an old book. So my third book, The 5 Laws of Leadership, the ideas for the speech for that book came in here.
mm.
This is how I literally write. If you can see it on the camera, it's called a word web. See that?
Yeah,
Spread out.
yeah,
That's how I
mm,
literally write. So I do this first. And I show people this all the time.
yeah.
And
That's
then
neat.
based on this, I make my standardized school outline. And then from there, I make my table of contents. So
Mm-hmm,
like this really dictates how I write. I don't write in a linear fashion because this word web that how I spread out those bubbles, that's how my mind actually, when I learned that, I was in college. If I would have learned this in junior high, might have been a straight A student. Like that's how my mind works. I don't work in a straight line A to B fashion. My mind is more like it's expanded. You know, it's crazy to explain, but it makes sense to me.
mm-hmm.
Right. So I would never tell anybody like this is the way you got to do it. There
Right,
is no
right,
one way, which is nothing.
right.
Back to the writing room. You would
Mm-hmm.
see the variance in ways that we operating, right?
Yep.
But the end result come out just the same.
Right. That's right. That's right.
As I said, my next question was, what was your hardest chapter to write for the Griot podcast, the Griot book, Modern Day Griots book?
Hmm.
I got to guess. I got to guess.
I don't know, man.
I'm gonna guess chapter 1.
No, not really. I kind of
Okay,
already knew. I
okay.
kind of already knew, but we had a hiccup in chapter 1. In the original copy that you showed, you know, I left out some stuff. Some important stuff. So we had to go back and do that. But it really wasn't too hard. The only
You know
thing I
why I
wanted to
guess chapter 1? I think chapter 1 to me was so heavy on the scholarship. It was so heavy on laying the foundation. Like now I'm going against what I just said, right? Chapter 1 laid the backbone for all of us to build on. Chapter 1 is the skeleton, and we all just putting the muscles and the tendons and the ligaments and the skin. Chapter 1 was the frame.
right.
So you doing that laid the work for my chapters after that. I couldn't do Dave Chappelle without the backbone of chapter 1, right? So that was my guess.
Yeah. I didn't really have, I was kind of flowing. The only thing I wish I would have did that I did have a little trouble with, but it wasn't much. But I wish I would have wrote a little bit more, and that was in the last chapter that we did. I wish I would have wrote more, but I didn't. And going back to the timelines, I was trying to hurry up and meet the deadline, and because that was my last chapter, and I kind of waited a minute before I wrote the chapter, and then right at the last leg, I started writing. I wish I would have just wrote more for it, but at that point,
But Kofi,
that's all that came to me at that time. I was like, dang.
look how God work. When it comes down to the actual page count in the business of books and the backdoor conversation on production of books, it's a good thing you didn't write more in that last chapter. It's a good thing you didn't add
Right,
to that
get
last
more
chapter.
pages.
Exactly.
Right. We wanted this book to be a certain amount of pages for a reason. And that's something else too that I appreciate for you, because I knew it, but I didn't follow through, until I actually had somebody say it as much as you said it. And as far as, we live in a age where we call it the microwave age, right? The attention span is so short, right? So we got to wham bam them, get in and get out, right? So we got to put a complete something, a complete project. Got to put this complete project together where it's not intimidating and it's short. You know what I'm saying? And we got to meet the people where they are. That's why I appreciate what you said a while ago when you went back to your chapter dealing with Dave Chappelle and those others, right? You met the people where they was at. You said you could have named so many other people, and that's something that I have gotten from you as well. I got to start meeting people because, like you said, in scholarly work, I'm so used to trying to write scholarly works and write for, and I'm saying I'm writing for the people, but a lot of times when I write, when you look at it, it could be intimidating for the people, and I'm actually writing for another group of people, high people who are in the field of higher education and not knowing it. So just by you talking to you over these months and seeing how you work on your page, you know, how you deliver your thing on your Sean P thing, and even with this project and even just the conversation with that we have, that I have got it now. Okay, we have to condense our works, no matter if it's a book, if it's something on your content, we have to condense it, and we have to meet the people because that's who we're trying to get and pull into.
Let me tell y'all something else, right? When you see me doing a presentation somewhere and I'm showing my slides and my images and all that, my normal format is I write the actual presentation. I put my initial images on there first. I got to step away from it and go back to it and take all the images out and replace it. You know why? Every image I probably put in there, could a high school child really relate to Michael Jordan? They know Jordan shoes.
Mm-hmm.
They know Jordan brand of clothes. They probably have never sat down and watched a 2-hour Michael Jordan basketball game from the night. They never did.
Mm-hmm.
You've never seen Jordan play. So I got to replace that with a LeBron James, a Kyrie Irving, somebody like right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I might have a Michael Jackson picture up there. And most kids know the greatness of Michael. They heard about it. You've never probably even watched the Remember the Time video and Thriller. You've never seen that. You heard about that.
Right.
I got to take him out and put in Chris Brown, whoever is popular in the world of dance. Sierra. I used that before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm giving you examples of things I really literally done in presentation. Like I had those people and had to take them off. I admire them a lot. We admire them, our generation. Those kids wouldn't have got that message the same way if they can't see that picture. And when I hear that little clicker in the screen change, oh, that's Chris Brown. That excitement. Because now you wondering what this man gonna say about Chris Brown.
Mm-hmm.
If it would have been Michael Jackson, it'd probably been like, that's a different response.
Yeah.
I want that excitement. I want you on your edge. I want you to be, oh yeah, that's. And look, I play dumb, right? I said, who is that? Who is that? I don't know who that is. That's with the song. I know who that is. And now I got you. I can teach you now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hook, line, and sinker. So kind of what I do in all of my work is that, man. By that, meeting the person, not what I want. You got to remove yourself. And a lot of authors I find don't remove self. They are so in it. You got to be like an observer looking down, like a drone looking down on the project. You can't be in it. You got to be. It's hard to describe.
I follow you. Good. You just dropped some jewels there. You just dropped the jewel right there, man. You definitely did. Man, this flowing, like I said, it's so natural. I done even forgot who asked the question. Was it you that asked the question? And then because we be just going back and forth.
It's actually your turn.
Okay, so all right.